All right. Mic switch. And I'd like to thank Desert Financial Credit Union for sponsoring our KRIM Community Spotlight program. Good morning, Rim Country. Happy Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. Got a little, some clouds out there. It's a little bit of a cloudy morning. And tomorrow, Friday, expecting some rain. That is always a good thing here in Rim Country when we get some precipitation. Well, this morning we have District 1 County Supervisor Steve Christensen in the studio. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Rim Country.
Yeah, so whether you're listening on the radio or you're watching us on our KRIM FM or KRIM radio Facebook page, that's what it is. KRIM radio Facebook page. Hope you're again enjoying your morning. If you're watching on Facebook, hey, we'd love to hear from you as well. Put a comment in there. But today we're going to be talking about Gila County.
Yeah.
And as we do once a month, I appreciate you coming in once a month to.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, to give updates and to let listeners, viewers know what's going on in the county. There's always a lot happening.
There's always a lot happening. Not everybody hears about everything, but you know, if you listen to the radios or you're reading the paper, you kind of pick up on stuff. And of course, everyone can listen into our meetings. You know, we generally are meeting almost every Tuesday, and you can tune in on online and watch that. So
people could go to the meeting online on the Gila County website.
I think so. I've never done the pathway, but it's a YouTube channel of sorts, and so I know we have Cassandra. She operates that during our meeting, and so I'm always asking at the end of the meeting, how many people did we have today, and this and that. And generally speaking, anywhere between say 15 to 30 people are tuned in and watching from the convenience of their home.
That makes it very nice. Especially with the county, I mean the size of the county, the meetings are in Globe, and so people in northern Gila County your constituents that would like to watch the meetings, they can do that online.
They can do that. They can also come to the Tommy Klein Martin, we call it the TCM building. It's the new building right here on the corner of Main Street and the Beeline. And if you come, the meeting starts at 10, you can actually come into the large multi-purpose room, we call it the courtroom sometimes, and we have the large screen TV, you can listen, watch, you even have an opportunity. At the end of the meeting we have call to the public, and so if someone wants to make a comment on anything they can. It's not actionable because it's not an agenda item. So, and that's the way things work in a meeting like that. So you can bring up comments, concerns, anything. We usually like to hold you to 3 minutes.
Oh yeah, and there's a good, very good reason for that, because there are some meetings and some agenda items where there's a lot of people that want to share their opinions, concerns, support of that item. So when you get, say, 15, 20 people that are speaking, 20 people at 3 minutes, that's over an hour.
That's an hour.
Yeah. And
it's over an hour.
Yep.
And so we're actually going to have one of those kind of meetings coming up. Now, generally speaking, we don't get a lot of people that come to our meetings that want to talk. But on some topics, it's a little bit more of a reaction that they want to talk. And one of those is coming up April 30th. And I know that's a little ways out, but actually the way this year is flying by, it'll be upon us pretty quickly. April 30th, we're going to do a work session. And one of the topics we're going to be working on is a discussion of the new ordinance that we have for short-term rentals. And so the discussion is going to be concerns raised by owners and people that are not owners in the communities that are pro and con about certain issues. But the ordinance has a few items in it that a lot of the owners really question. Like one of them is background checks. You know, we don't require background checks if you go to a hotel. We don't require a background check for long-term renters, but on a short-term rental, it's in the ordinance to perform a background check. And so we're going to talk about whether that's a valid thing to have in there, and whether or not we should require that, or whether it's problematic, or whether it doesn't matter if we have it in there. So that's one thing. And then, of course, there's other things like the fines or the reporting of this or that. And so we're going to be looking at that again. We're not looking to remove the ordinance, but we may want to modify it. The ordinance has actually been approved, but they're not actively, what's the word, enacting it, or it hasn't really started yet. So there's going to be a permit fee to do it, and largely what we're trying to do is just get a database of the people that own a particular home that's using it for short-term rentals, so that if there is an issue, a problem, or whatever, we can get in contact with them. So the whole idea is to take the very few short-term rental properties that are an issue within a neighborhood, because you have residents there that are just living there, that's their home, and then right next door there's this business of sorts. And if it's being a problem to them in the neighborhood, we need to be able to address it. And that's the only reason we really want to have an ordinance at all, to be able to address it.
And I know one thing we discussed, the town, when we were looking at this, was, and I was just checking or looking this up to verify this, but most of the short-term rentals are done through Airbnb. A high percentage, not all of them, but a high percentage. And Airbnb does perform background checks on their guests. But those that are doing the short-term rentals and not using Airbnb or one of those platforms, then a background check is not being done. And I think for residents, what we heard was the concern was the difference between a short-term rental and a hotel is that short-term rental is in the middle of the neighborhood. It's right there, and you have people living next to that home, where a hotel is a little different.
Right. And then, so that's something we're going to debate. And also, there are a few short-term rentals that are, like, say, people are hiking. So the scenario was that the person said, well, we own a short-term rental. And it's in Pine, it's on the highway, and it's not a hotel, we're not running a hotel, but we have hikers that come through, bicyclists or whatever, they show up, they want to spend the night. Do you have your room available? And then they do that. So there's some things in the ordinance that require a background check, 30-day prior, this and that, and so it's problematic for that renter to do that. So we'll be looking at those. And so, we don't want to be burdensome with the ordinance. We want to accomplish the core of the reason we want it. And so...
And it's interesting, when Airbnbs, when the short-term rentals first started, that was really the intent. It was, I remember staying in one early on, a long time ago, to where it was just a room. And that's how all of them really started out. It was just a room. The house we stayed in, it was a split bedroom set up, so the owners were on one side, and they had two rooms that they rented out, and there was another couple staying in the other room, while we were there, shared a bathroom, just stayed one night. It was down in the valley. But I remember, that was done because of the crash in 2008, 9, the housing crash, and it helped people from losing their homes because they had to cover their mortgage payment. So they were able to offset their mortgage payment or cover it by renting out a room or two if they wanted to. But then, as you said, it just
turned into a commercial enterprise.
Yes, to where entire homes being purchased, to be used
for the sole purpose of that.
Yeah.
And so we have well over 1,000 just in northern Gila County.
Wow.
And so it is something that needs to be addressed. I kind of remember it started a little bit way back, and it was puzzling to me that someone would rent their home to, say, people that were coming to watch the Super Bowl, and they would rent their home.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? well, where do they stay? Well, they go somewhere else.
Yes.
They rent their home. And I was thinking to myself, with all the furniture and everything in it,
Yeah, yeah.
and they would rent their home to a couple of families or whatever to watch the Super Bowl for a extended weekend. And I thought that was the most curious thing I ever heard of. And it's kind of developed into pretty big business. We don't want to eliminate the business. It brings a lot of money to Gila County, traveling. So,
Oh, yeah.
and we don't simply have enough hotels to handle all of them anyway. So,
And it was, oh my goodness, crazy, the amount, you know, how much people could charge to rent their home, you know, to a family, a group,
Right.
a couple coming in for the Super Bowl. To where I, you know, read, and I tried to bring up one home here, but, you know, there are packages where they leave their vehicle. And the people, you know, come to the home, they have the entire home, the vehicle, everything. But, oh my gosh, what they are charging the people, because if you can afford and you can pay for a ticket to the Super Bowl, then you definitely have the money. And so they rent their whole house, and it pays for their vacation, wherever they want to go, while their home is being rented, and some. So,
really something.
wow. Yeah.
It just shows the cleverness and ingenuity of people.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, capitalism. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
great.
supply and demand. And
It's great. So we just want to make sure that the residents are not being harmed by the activity. So that's the only reason. It's not like I want to create ordinances left and right.
No, no, and but obviously this came about, you know, from residents that, you know, were experiencing issues, that were having problems, that said, hey, elected representative, you need to do something about this,
Right.
because this is happening. So it's not a case where, you know, the three of you, the three supervisors are sitting there, what new law can we make?
Yes,
And,
no, yeah, we don't actually like making new regulations, so. Yeah, and that's another thing, legislatures make law, and councils and board of supervisors and stuff, we make regulation. And so it can be challenged. I mean, they can say, hey, what you're doing is illegal, or it trumps on the Constitution, or it's against this or that. So the legislatures make law and we make regulations, and it can always be challenged. So, yeah. And so that's April 30th,
Okay.
coming up. And we're gonna have a bridge pretty soon in Tonto Basin.
Yeah, I've seen pictures on social media,
Yeah.
and it is so close.
Getting, I think sometime in April, we're gonna have some kind of like a soft opening, you know what I mean? And then we'll do a kind of a big ribbon cutting grand opening when the entire project is complete. So the bridge will be functional, but they'll still be working on some of the other aspects of it to get it complete. Now that's coming right up. Within the next couple of months or so, we should have a fully complete $26 million bridge.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a game changer. It's a
It sure will be.
game changer for Tonto Basin, for that
Absolutely. I see that area growing.
area.
Yes.
No, but also providing safe travel now
Right.
for residents that are on that side of the creek.
Growth is not always a negative. Growth means healthy, in my opinion. You just need to kind of control the growth to where if it's uncontrolled, that means it develops in haphazard ways without appropriate zoning, with neighbors that are not necessarily nice about the way they treat their properties and things. So good growth is good. Stagnation is not usually good, and a reduction in growth is never good.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of communities in Gila County, especially southern Gila County, that are experiencing a loss of people in the community,
Wow.
loss of tax base, and the schools suffer, fire departments, you know, I mean, pretty soon there's just no economy in some of these old mining towns and stuff. Well, Payson area, the rim country, is growing. Tonto Basin will be growing. There's people that are already applying for division of properties and stuff down there across the bridge. So I think we're going to see, it's a beautiful area. Mountains, the lake's real close. You can drive up here within 30 minutes here in the rim country. The climate's pretty good.
Especially, wintertime, fall, winter, spring.
If you have an air
Yeah.
conditioner, summertime's fine too. So, yeah, Tonto Basin is gonna grow, the prices are gonna go up. So,
And that, though, that is being experienced all over, for
Yep.
the most part,
Yeah.
all over Arizona. Like you said, maybe southern Gila County, not so much. There's other places in Arizona that, and this isn't to be mean or to sound, mean, but not as desirable. They're just not as beautiful, and so not as many people want to live there, or there might not be as many opportunities for work, for recreation, whatever it is that would draw people to those areas.
well, in Gila County, largely, we're basically in the middle of the state, and we're close to large metropolitan areas, so we get a lot of tourism. A lot of people do come to the central or more northern areas for their recreation, and so it spurs growth and it spurs higher prices. So it's difficult to move here starting from scratch, but if you're already here and you own your home and things like that, it's a good benefit as far as financially. If you ever to sell your home, you have to move away. But it's sort of like the folks in California. We have quite a few that come here from California because, and we do get a lot of conservative people that move from California here. And so, and the reasons are because they don't like the way the government's being run in California and the prices. But they're able to sell houses over there for far more than what they have to pay here. They think our prices are
Low.
really low.
A great deal.
A great
Wow, what a bargain.
Yeah. I said, I can't believe I got that house for $1 million. And,
Yeah.
It's like
And you know what? And hopefully, soon, sooner rather than later, there'll be more options with our housing inventory.
I hope
So if you have, a couple, they moved up here, they had a family, an empty house, and they have a larger home, 2,500, 3,000 square feet, whatever, that the value has increased, they can sell for quite a bit, and they want to stay here, and if there are options like condominiums, that they'd want to, get a condo and not have to worry about some of the expenses that they have with a home, with a house, yards, yard, all of that.
condominiums, townhomes, luxury apartments, all those kind of things I think we could use.
Yes.
I don't know why people aren't building apartments.
Yes, and that's something that hopefully we'll see very, very soon, but part of that is, the higher density. It's never been popular in Basin.
Well, and
and most people don't want that by them. So that's been the challenge.
Prices of land and construction has prevented some people from investing. It takes an investor to build an apartment complex, and an investor has a profit margin in mind. And so he's not going to do it just to help people out. He wants to do it as a business, or she. And so to find property at a reasonable rate and construct an apartment complex in today's market, and then be able to charge a reasonable price to rent that is pretty tough.
And it's a definitely a long-term investment versus homes, where you sell the home, you make your money, so you have a developer that has 30, 40 homes, and they sell them, they have their return right then, instead of an apartment where it's long-term.
I heard something just recently, and maybe you know more about it, that on the Tonto Reservation here, they're going to be doing some development on that toward the east, that they're going to have some housing that they're going to do. They're going to do a distillery. Have you heard any of that?
Yep, the distillery, myself and Vice Mayor Underwood and Councilmember Joel Mona were at the groundbreaking. Actually, we participated in the groundbreaking with Chairman Calvin Johnson and other tribal council members. And that was it was last year, and they're looking at actually breaking ground this year on the distillery. They also have an RV campground, 50-spot campground, and then I think they're expanding that to 100 spaces. But they have the clubhouse already built, and they're moving forward with that project. The housing, I'm not sure about, and also Apache Corners, or the development south of the event center, the rodeo grounds. But there is a meeting, we have a meeting scheduled. We've done this once before. We did it a few years ago, or 2 years ago maybe. A meeting with the Payson Town Council, Tribal Council, and Star Valley Council on the 28th of March. And so it's just to talk about upcoming projects, just different things that we're doing in each of our communities, and also just to put anything out there that we could maybe look at improving communications between the different organizations, or maybe we are looking at, it'd be great if we got some assistance or could get help with this project, or maybe are you willing to do this, or could this be done? So that agenda is still being put together, but the date's been set for the 28th at the casino, and that's going to be 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, the county's still working on the Transportation Authority. Okay, so we got a meeting, I'm not part of the meeting, but we do have a meeting scheduled coming up soon here in March to get that rolling. And what that is to try and combine the different transportation entities that we have in the county. So we have the Beeline Bus, Miami has their own, and try and create a transportation authority, which would be a group of people that would look at ways to fund those operations, combine those operations, and cooperate in such a way that it's beneficial to all of Gila County, and not just a small portion of it.
And that's great, because I know when the study, or when the consultants looked at that, and their recommendation was this will be beneficial for all the groups, because it brings the operating cost down if you have one centralized group operating the 3 bus services, but also the opportunity to connect northern and southern Gila County, and that would include Tonto Basin. I was talking to someone in Tonto Basin, and they said, wow, this would be amazing if there was the bus, that came through between Globe and Payson, stopping in Tonto Basin, that could provide transport, for residents there.
For medical, or for, people that just don't drive anymore, things like that. So this is part of the function, I believe, of government, where it can assist in helping the private sector to accommodate a need that the private sector normally wouldn't pursue, because there's not enough money to be made. And so Gila County has traditionally been supportive of the Beeline Bus, the Miami one, and the town of Payson does that. And so everybody kind of cooperating, as a pool of tax dollars cooperating, provides a service to people in the community that don't drive anymore, can't drive, can't afford to drive, or they're elderly, or they need to go somewhere, things like that. So it's not a taxi service. It's not like, oh, well, can you take me to the airport in Phoenix? No, we're not going to be doing that. So that would be another service.
No, and it was great. The senior center started the Beeline Bus program, and then, but their intention never was to continue to operate it. So the town took that over, and our intention was, not to continue long term, but to talk with the county and to set up this IPTA, this Transportation Authority, and it'll be great. It'll be great for the county. Already, we've seen the number of riders increase greatly. I think part of that was, the community maybe thought it was only for seniors, since the senior center was operating it, but now we're seeing a lot of different ages, on the bus. But it's been a valuable service for quite a few people that have become dependent on it now.
Well, it seems to make sense. So sometimes you'll try something and it just doesn't seem to work out, doesn't make sense, and it's okay. So we tried it and we're going to go on and do something else. But this one does seem to be making sense. And
Yes.
you mentioned the senior center, the Payson Senior Center, Rim Country, whatever. You know, that's a great group of people. They do so much of Meals on Wheels. They help so many people in this area. And you know, they have property over there by the Town of Payson Police Department. There's a roundabout back there. They have some property there, and they're looking to build a building, and they're very, very close to having enough money to do it. And so if there's ways you can support the Payson Senior Center, they do a really tremendous job for the community and the area without the government having to use tax dollars to do what they do. And so we support them. The county does. We support a couple of them here in the county. And I wish we could do more, but we do have limits on our budgets too. So.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of needs out there, and you know, always just not enough money to cover all those needs. So that's where, you know, it comes down to prioritizing, and you know, hoping that you're prioritizing the right way, you know, for the community. Because goodness, with all of the projects, think about, if you had unlimited funding, everything that you could do and would want to do with the county.
Yes, unlimited funding. That sounds like the federal government.
Yeah, well, wait, the county, you haven't started making your own money yet.
We can't borrow our way into success. So the county government is one of those that it's illegal for us to deficit spend. We have to have a budget, we have to stay within the budget, and we cannot overspend it. It's illegal, and it's not illegal at the federal level. So if it was illegal at the federal level, there'd be people in jail 100 years ago over it. So
I know that's something, you know, talking to people, the level of accountability, financial accountability that we have at a county, the town level, even state level. We definitely don't have that luxury. I don't really think it's a luxury because of the horrible situation it's created on the federal level.
Well, they overspend more than they receive, $2 trillion a year. They would have to cut $2 trillion or more out of the budget just to break even. And then start addressing the 30-some trillion dollar debt we have. That's almost unpayable. I mean, it's just terrible to even think about it.
Yeah, not good.
Especially you and I can remember when it was billions.
Yeah.
30-some trillion.
Yeah, a little bit more. Just want to let everyone know again, if you would like to watch the Gila County Board of Supervisors meetings, the Gila County website, it's gilacountyaz.gov. And looking on the website, it's very easy under popular services. You just have to scroll down just a little bit, and it has Board of Supervisors live feed. A link right there that takes you to that YouTube channel.
Perfect.
Just like you said. And you can subscribe to that channel, or you can watch the live video. But when there is a meeting, you'll see on that page the meeting live. Just click on it and you can watch the meeting.
Great, I appreciate that.
Yeah, it is
I've never
good.
done that search, so yeah, that does sound pretty simple.
Oh yeah, they've made it very, very simple. Whoever, you know, handles your website, they've set it up very nicely, so it's very easy to find. Also, if you're looking for employment opportunities, there's a link right here as well to job openings.
They print some of that in the Payson Roundup every once in a while, so we do have a lot of jobs available.
Yeah, and great opportunity to work for a really great organization and for retirement. And we talked about that, the long term.
So we have benefits, and so yeah, stability.
Well, that is great. Well, it's already 10:30, so I know that time goes quick, but I'd like to thank everyone for listening and watching this morning, and thank you, Steve, for coming on and sharing. It's always a good conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
Yeah, you're so
Yeah,
welcome.
and thank to all the watchers and listeners.
Yep, well, time to get back to the music, but before that, let's get a quick update from our National Weather Service.